Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Unplugged live session. I'm Leonel Rodrigues from Desirable Portugal Tours, and just waiting for Sergio and Gabriel to us. So they should be here in a minute, and we'll start our live. Hello, Sergio. How are
Good
you?
evening.
And just adding Gabriel over here. And, well, at least we see Albufeira. So Gabriel should be, there he is. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And welcome to another Unplugged Live. We are all three together again. So with me, I have Sergio Costa from Portugal EV Tours, near Porto, Douro Valley, and in the Algarve in Albufeira, Gabriel Lima from GL Tours. I'm Leonel Rodrigues from Desirable Portugal, and I'm based near Lisbon. So for tonight, let's talk a little bit just about the news, some recent news that have been coming to public about issues that are going through in Portugal, mainly around Lisbon, some neighborhoods that are facing some security issues, and it seems like international media, international news channels, newspapers are boosting this a little bit. What can I say? The first thing is travelers, visitors don't go to those neighborhoods. I don't think that anyone would want to go to those places. And a little bit all over the world, we have troubled areas. Every big city has its issues. As I usually say to my guests, well, we have a beautiful country, but we aren't perfect. So there's always something here and there. So, my advice is really, don't worry about it. Portugal, it's a lovely country. We still have a lot of stuff for you to enjoy and experience. And, the proof of that is that just today I did a great tour in an area that I really love outside of the major cities, exploring the true essence of the country. And this was another tailor-made experience on request, even that I needed to drive quite a lot from where I live to pick up my guests. I would do this kind of tours several times a month instead of being stuck in some crowded areas. But that's me. This is my way of approaching the issue. I'm pretty close to Lisbon, and I can tell you that I haven't seen any issues driving around, moving into the city. So everything has been feeling quite normal to what we are used to. Okay, and I don't know for you, for both of you, what have you been feeling or seeing on the areas where you live? Do you feel that this information it's kind of going a little bit too far or a little bit too extreme on what it really is? Sergio, you live near the second biggest city in Portugal. What are your thoughts about this?
Good evening, everyone. Well, a couple of things. I'm sure that everyone by now is up to speed with the restrictions that we're having in Porto, but I actually am going to leave that topic for a second portion, a second intervention that I might have over here, and to be followed up with a more extensive post on our Unplugged group for people to catch up on the news. But right now, regarding the issue that you spoken about, so the let's call them riots happening in the Lisbon area. It's always a little bit tricky to speak about these things because for the most part, the news tend to just pick on the negative aspects because that sells, and it's very easily to blow something out of proportion, something that is just limited to a very small portion of a town, of a region, etc., and just blow it out of proportion and make it sound like the country is going through a civil war, which is not the case. So yeah, these things they tend to happen mostly in non-touristy areas. places that are mostly living quarters, the dorm houses of the cities. And there's not a whole lot in terms of tourism happening over there. So you travelers are very unlikely to come across these areas during their stay over here in Portugal. So this is the first thing. Don't trust everything that you're reading. And again, like I said it last time, don't even trust us. Read a lot of sources. The more you inform yourself, the better prepared you will be to handle any situation that you find over here in the country, be it a positive or negative. And our role as tour guides is to share the best that the country has to offer, not necessarily the worst. And there's probably people out there who focus a little bit on that, a little bit of the macabre story. But again, these are niche markets.
Mhm.
And again, um, we as tour guides, we have this responsibility, and we can put the spin in the country however we see fit, because people are contacting us sometimes even for the first time. We are kind of like our mediators to the entire country, and so we can act as salesmen, or we can act as devil's advocates, basically saying that this is a crappy country, this is no place for you to come, this is no place for you to live. But then we can also tell you that we have fantastic beaches, we have beautiful mountains, we have places that have forests and waterfalls, we have places that seem like more arid and desert deserts, we have hot and humid climates, we have dry and cold climates, and we have dry and hot climates and vice versa. So we have a little bit of everything over here. So what we share is mostly a spin. It's a spin. It's more of our. I always put it this way to my customers, particularly when we're traveling in the Douro Valley. I never say that I offer the best tour. I never say that. I don't believe that I am the best tour guide out there. I can be among the best, I don't know. But for people to classify something as the best, first, in my opinion, that is a very subjective experience. So what is best for some people can be a little bit not ideal for other people. And second, you have to try a multitude of tours to decide on what is best. But again, because it's highly subjective, is always going to be what is best for you. So there is no one size fit all. And this is why we have created Unplugged. This is why we have our little niche, our little following base over here in our group. And this is for the positive things. So I don't believe to be doing the best tour, but what I always tell customers is that I will always do my best for you. And I just hope that's enough. And there's quite a bit of a difference in these statements. And well, this is for when we're comparing a high level, something that we always aim to deliver, which is a very nice experience, a very high-end and satisfactory experience. On the opposite end, well, there's going to be places that, well, I choose to go to these places because I see value in going to these places versus then going to the other places. And if you want to take this to a macro level, well, we go to, let's say, in Porto, we go and we visit the Church of Carmen Carmelitas. You go to the train station to São Bento. Sometimes some people are very interested in seeing the McDonald's, the Imperial McDonald's. Some people like to go to the waterfront, to Ribeira. And there are some places in Porto that no one talks about. Like, for example, I don't know how many people over here know what is, for example, the Pasteleira neighborhood or the Aleixo neighborhood. You don't hear about these because these are definitely not touristy places. And in Lisbon, what's happening is pretty much the same. So you're very unlikely to find to come across these locations during your trips. So this is just my first impression of it. From what we tend to project outside, mainstream media usually just picks up on the negative things because they have an agenda and their goal is to have views, to have clicks, to generate leads, etc. So don't trust everything that you see. And well, a testament to that fact is that Portugal is very much considered consistently one of the top 10 safest countries in the world, and it's something to be proud of. So even if you're seeing things like, oh, there's riots, they're burning buses and whatnot, this is happening for the very first time in our history over here. I don't remember ever seeing riots in this dimension over here in the country. So these are just some of the negative news that have been floating around in international media that I feel like they are being blown quite a bit out of proportion. So this is just a little bit more generalistic, and well, if I have a time for a second intervention later on, I'll talk a little bit more about what's happening right now in Porto. But I want to give the word to Gabriel because I don't want to hog the microphone just for myself.
Yeah, but would love to hear about that as well. Okay,
Yeah.
but yes,
I'm
please,
saving the
Gabriel,
best
go
for
ahead.
last.
Oops, no
We're
sound,
not
Gabriel.
hearing you.
No.
Okay, just wait. I'm going
There
to
we
turn
go.
this
All good.
on.
Okay,
Okay.
You're good.
you're good.
You're good.
And now. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Now.
Yep,
You're
you're
listening?
good.
Yeah,
You're good.
good.
Oh, but nothing. Okay, no problem. I don't need this.
Technology.
I just need to put the sound a bit out loud. Okay, no, I was just saying, of course you live in big cities. Porto, Linelli live very close to Lisbon. There are bigger issues, let's say, but yes, of course, in the Algarve we have some spots who are also not, let's say, not the best destinations. So there are some places we should avoid because, of course, there's some kind of issues there. Okay, but you said something that I agree. Well, I agree with almost everything, but it's so true. The news nowadays, not just the news. The influencers. Well, make no mistake, we all know how the world works. So it doesn't matter if I'm spreading a fake news or something truth, or if I'm creating a hype or not. As soon as people they make money with these followers and clicks and bytes, they are happy. So we live in a world where we have to be very careful with the information we consume from both sides, from the television and also from this particular information that, for instance, now we are spreading to. But what happens many times is sometimes we know the reality way better than the journalists because we deal with people. We visit the neighborhoods, we have friends here, we have people who work there. I have lots of people who are officers. They work at the police, they work at the homicides department, so I know people. So, and what I know from them, it's slightly different, to say the least, from what we hear from the news, okay? But, I mean, even today I was having this conversation with two fellows from Chicago, and of course we all know there are big issues also in America, there are big issues in Brazil. It's a bit everywhere. There's this polarization, and make no mistake, there's lots of fake news floating around. Okay, so we have to be very careful with the information we consume. But yeah, here we don't have big issues, to be honest. Okay, we have some. I heard some things in Vila Moura because it's very close to Quarteira, to some places there where people with less budget. In Faro, sometimes just a few issues here and there, but we don't have these big problems like in the big cities. But thank God, I used to say we don't have big cities. Of course, in summer we have sometimes came on the news. We have a bunch of drunk guys, and then something happens. Could happen too because it's a touristy destination. So we have here like 3 million people, and we don't have enough officers to. The police can't control everything. So yeah, sometimes we have problems. I mean, just like you said, Sergio, that we are not perfect, we are not the best. Our country is not perfect, and Portugal is not the best. Well, we are the best drinking wine, per capita. We drink lots of wine, and we are welcoming people, we are warm people. But make no mistake, there are very Portuguese people who are really bad asses, okay? Not everyone is a good person. Not all immigrants, they are good persons. Not all tourists are good persons. Not all expats, they are good persons. But in general, most people, they are good people, okay? So I think we live in a country which is a very nice country. When we compare with other things that when we see the news, I'm not even going to talk about the wars, but when we go to Asia, Central America, South America, Africa, it's way worse the problems people they have there. So we are. I used to say I'm a lucky bastard because I was born. I was born here. I was raised here, and I live in a very beautiful region. I live in a very nice country. Right next to us, we have another beautiful country, so we don't have these conflicts right next to us. So we are very lucky. And yeah, and of course we like to welcome people. And as a guide, like you said, we have this responsibility to share. We have to be aware and we have to be honest about the problems. We have problems too, and in every town we have also downsides. There's things that doesn't go so well in Portugal too, but we have this responsibility to promote what we have good, what we have at its best, you know, and we have lots of good stuff. So when we put in a balance, the things we have who are really good are way more than the bad things we have. And then we have to focus on this. As a people, in our core, the Portuguese people, not just us, but we tend to see the downside, we tend to see not the skills, we tend to see the faults, and we shouldn't do do like this because it's not good for us, it's not good for anyone. Well, anyway, guys, another thing when Sergio, when you said you always keep saying you are not the best, this and that. It's funny because even today and yesterday I said exactly the same. I mean, I told the guys, you know, just look at me. Back in a time, at some point, I was a top salesperson with a tie, a very fancy car. I mean, I have a nice car. I don't have the high-end car. I work with jeans. I work with shorts. I work with a sweatshirt. I work with a polo. And that's it. But what I provide, it's the genuine experiences. When I say I'm going to take people off the beaten path, like I did today, I really take people off the beaten path. And then for me, I have to say this, it's very easy to overcome the expectations of the tourists. So when they come, they bring some expectations, and usually by the end of the day, they say, I didn't expect this. So this was a bit better than I expected. It doesn't happen every single day, okay? But sometimes this happens, and this is amazing. And this is our job, you know. Our job is to promote Portugal as a product. You know, there's no such thing like South is better than North or whatever. You know, this is the way I see. I sell Portugal as a product. I respect all my my competency, you know, all other tour guides, and of course sometimes we don't agree, but we have always to stand for Portugal. You know, Portugal is a great product. People, they can feel comfortable to come here, whether in summer, winter, whatever. And we are here to provide you with the best experiences, and also with the harsh truth. I mean, so whatever happens here, if you have some kind of questions, just ask us, because we're gonna help you to try to understand what is really happening. Okay, we have here some messages. I don't know, Lionel, I don't know if you've been reading.
Yeah, well,
thank you, Thomas.
Yeah, big shout out to
yes,
Thomas. It was a pleasure having him.
We all try to help people, you know, because this is our job. Yeah. Lionel, I'm not listening so well. I'm gonna try to fix the sound here, so okay. I'm gonna pass the ball to you. Okay?
No, well, I was just reading the comments. Okay, and I see Thomas here thanking Sergio and Pedro for great tours, and also thanking what we've been doing. We created this group for a reason. We created these unplugged live sessions for a reason. They are being posted on YouTube, and we see that people are following, people are watching, so there's a genuine interest on what we provide. So we should be doing something right, I think. Okay, and it's like, the tour that I had today, that was booked some time ago, when I got inquired to go to a place that is almost 3 hours driving from my house, a very specific little town, and my guests told me that they were staying like nearly 2 hours away from where I live. I told them, I want to do it, okay? So I'm going to make all the efforts to, provide you a great day, even that, I'm going to pick you up a bit far away from where I live, but I want to do that tour because it's a very special location for me. And in fact, I was telling them, that I even have memories of going there. I have a friend of mine who owns a house over there, and some good memories from the past that, well, were brought back to me visiting that little town again. And sometimes these little things, okay, they end up making the difference, because um, we try to help, we try to be genuine, we try to, well, provide the information. But I normally tell that what makes a great professional in most cases, it's a very special ingredient, okay? It's the passion. And if you don't have passionate guides for the country, well, they might be entertaining quite well, but there's always that miss of that, well, extra mile, or that little, well, special touch that, well, that makes a difference. So that's why we try to provide different experiences. That's why I tell people I don't go here and there, because I don't believe that this is an experience that you're going to enjoy. And the same way, and going back to the news, well, of course, we acknowledge the things that are happening, but there's a lot more to see and do and experience than just following what is being showed by, well, big money-making corporations, that the only thing that matters, it's just, well, clickbaits and catching the attention in the not so positive way. So, well, just my 2 cents about this. And well, once again, thank you for all the comments that are over here. But Sergio, you left me curious with your comments, so I'm going to throw the ball to you, because, well, the subject on the table, it's also, well, quite well, interesting to me, because well, I go towards your city several times. So well, I would like to hear what you have to share with us.
Well, so addressing the elephant in the room and basically leaving the most juicy aspect of the life for the end today. So a lot of people might be aware already. I believe it was on September 15, 16, somewhere around that time frame, the mayor of Porto announced that new restrictions were going to be in effect in Porto, which basically were, in a nutshell, just aiming at containing the tuk-tuk traffic generated in the city, because the city of Porto, it's a very small, very cramped city, and does not handle a whole lot of traffic very well. But the way that he wrote the new regulation was written, it basically got all touristic vehicles in the crossfire. So now there is no tourism happening with motorized vehicles inside of the city, period. And this is actually causing a lot of distress, because there's quite a few interesting companies that had very interesting proposition values for touring the city using motorized vehicles. I have a partner, he did something really interesting, which was a tour in Beetles. I know of another one who did it in sidecar motorcycles. It was a very interesting way to touring the city. But right now, the regulation is pretty much banning all of these vehicles to enter the city.
Let me just interrupt you with an interesting question. Okay, imagine this: you have the tourism permit, I have the tourism permit, Gabriel has the tourism permit. We have, well, pretty much the same kind of permits. Now imagine this: which kind of permit do the companies who do bike tours or Segway tours use for touring the city? Those are non-motorized vehicles, but they have pretty much the same permits that we do. Those are still vehicles, okay? What's the point here? Don't they cause
Good
traffic?
question.
Okay.
Good question. Regarding the traffic situation, and this was the main excuse used by the mayor of Porto to enforce the new law, my genuine opinion is that he wrongly identified what is the major culprit of the traffic situation in the city. He's blaming it on tourism, when it's, I would say that tourism is a very minor portion of has a very minor responsibility of the traffic situation in Porto. For me and for anyone who has visited Porto. And it's funny because just before coming to the live over here, I was on Facebook and I was reading a comment about someone that visited Porto, and they choose one word to define the city:
I've read that.
construction.
Construction. I've
Construction.
read that. Yeah.
So we have a new metro line going up. We are now starting to close down additional streets in the city because of the construction of a new bridge. And yeah, it's very easy to blame it on tourism right now because it's a very hot topic, and there's this crescendo of anti-tourism movements on the rise in several European towns. One of the most famous examples is what's happening in Spain right now, particularly in Madrid and Barcelona. So everyone is hearing about that. And well, Porto, I would say it hasn't gone to that point as far as popular opinion goes, but I think that the mayor took measures one step ahead and decided to just do a preemptive, I call it a preemptive strike on tourism, just by enforcing these restrictions. Some of the craziest regulations that he just enforced, beside the restricted area in the city, one of the craziest ones is that for authorized vehicles, and I think that each company can have a maximum of 6 vehicles operating in the city, but you have to submit your itinerary 20 days in advance, which is crazy. Tourism doesn't work that way, except for very rare instances. But most of the people, when they book things like hop on, hop off, they just book it on the day or when they're here. So it's very difficult to book something 20 days in advance. And on top of that, you have designated places for stopping and to do pickups, and those pickups cannot exceed a 6-minute time window. So if you get a little bit delayed, if you get a little bit more traffic in the city, not because of tourism, but if you get a little bit more traffic in the city, well, you're pretty much screwed, basically. And well, the workaround that we have found, and this is putting all tour operators, at least the ones that are concerned with it, because there's going to be an entirely new side question to all of this, but at least the ones that are taking the regulation seriously, it's throwing us all in a disarray, because we would love to meet our customers at their hotels, at their accommodations, or at the very least as close as possible. And right now we're being pushed to the outskirts of that restricted area, which means that for the customers to come to us, they have to take a second vehicle. And so this is not actually, it's actually not decreasing the traffic in the city. It's actually going to increase, because before it would only take one vehicle to do the pickup and then we could start our trip right away. Nowadays, the customers, they have to take a taxi or an Uber to meet us at a rendezvous point so that we can start our trip, which is adding another vehicle to the mix. And I'm saying this about the people who are concerned with the regulation, because there are some people, and unfortunately I've spoken with a few of them, and they seem not to care too much about the regulation. And well, I feel like there's a little bit of a how should I say, it's unfair competition, but at the very least, it's a disregard for the regulation that is being put in effect. And for me, the consequence is not as much as the disregard for the regulation, because I don't care too much about what the other guys do. I have to take care of my livelihood, and so I will abide by the regulation. I mean, if I get a huge fine, if I get some points sticking out of my driver's license, that's going to be on me. And so if I'm inhibited of driving, there goes my livelihood. I won't be able to do tours. But some guides, because they think that they are a little bit, they can outsmart the regulations, they will still say, well, I don't agree with these regulations, so I'm going to do my pickups within the restricted area. And because I drive an unmarked vehicle, they won't know any better. For me, that's not the issue. For me, the main issue is that it calls into question their character. And if they are taking these measures, one might start to wonder what other corners are they cutting. So that's the main issue for me. If a person tells you that you're going to be fine because I can do the pickup at the location, I can pick you up at your hotel inside of the restricted area, I would be very surprised to hear about that, because not even authorized vehicles And this is another one of those crazy regulations. Not even authorized vehicles can go into the restricted area between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m.
Mhm.
and then afterwards between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Which basically means that there are no pickups, no drop-offs happening between in these two schedules. So explain this to me. If even authorized vehicles are forbidden to go inside of the restricted area during these periods, I mean, I wouldn't put my my day in the hands of someone that is not following a very simple rule, which is no pickups in the city. But again, this is just me, and I'm a person that abides by the regulations. So maybe I'm in the wrong over here. I don't think I am, but I've already had a bad experience about this because people didn't believe what I told them, even after I showed them the new traffic signs that were put up in the city. And well, it was not a very pleasant experience to have to explain them and having my word being put into question about what I was saying about the restrictions. But it happens, and so it's something that we have to adjust. I want to believe that if people are willing to have a great experience and in the long term, this might end up benefiting the city once the tour operators, once the customers understand how this new reality of Porto works.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, well, just be aware that this is happening. And they call it the trial period that is going to last until October of next year. Well, in the meantime, if you're considering visiting Porto within this year, the next 350 days or so, well, just be aware that for legitimate and responsible tour guides that will take you on a tour outside of the city, well, you're just gonna have to make this little bit of extra effort. And for the most part, it's not gonna be all that much because Porto is a very walkable city. And as much as possible, if the weather is good, just leave your apartment, your hotel, your Airbnb 5 to 10 minutes earlier than what you were considering and take a nice stroll in the city just to get some steps in. And that's gonna be a great start of your day. So this is my biggest recommendation right now. It pains me a bit to see that tourism is being blamed for a situation that I don't feel like it's entirely tourism's fault. We do have, I know that there are some vehicles, some excess vehicles in the city, but we need to look at other causes. And there are some that, in my opinion, are a little bit larger than just touristic vehicles in the city. For one, I would pay close attention to the construction that is happening in the city. And the post that I mentioned from an hour, 2 hours ago, I didn't commission anyone to write it, I swear it. But,
yeah, but I saw it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have construction, and just out of curiosity, I was also looking at the Uber data. I had a hard time finding some reliable sources for this, but I actually found that the number of Ubers in the country, I didn't find any specifics for Porto, but I can tell you that the number of Ubers in the country, it went from roughly 18,000 Ubers in 2018 to 66,000 Ubers in 2023. So in 5 years, the number of Ubers quadrupled. I don't know of any other industry that has increased by much. Not even tourism has quadrupled in the last 5 years. So I think, and this is my opinion, this is also the majority of the tour operators' opinion, that blaming tourism for the traffic woes in the city of Porto, it's a little bit of a misplaced blame. And it's also a very political stance that the mayor is taking right now to gain some votes, to gain some popularity once again.
Elections are next year, right?
The thing is that he cannot be reelected. He's already on his third term. So I don't know. I don't know exactly why that is, but he's probably trying to get out on a very high note.
Trampoline. It's a trampoline.
Yeah. But he's basically riding the wave of the anti-tourism movement that is starting to show up in other European towns. So I don't know how else I can explain this. And just one other side note, there are going to be some businesses, some opportunistic businesses taking advantage of all of this. For example, the first thing that comes to mind is hotels and hotel concierges that will tell you, well, we have no problems booking pickups and drop-offs. So if you want to ensure a pickup and a drop-off at the hotel doorstep, you need to book through the hotel concierge.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, but this is not true.
Yeah.
This is not true. So don't fall for this one, because this is another one. I almost classify this one as a tourist trap. To the date of today, I am not aware of any authorized vehicles in the city that can do pickups and drop-offs within the restricted area and within that
I
very
had some
restricted
guests
time
that
frame.
were told exactly that. Okay, the hotel in Porto told them exactly that. If you had booked through us, we would guarantee that the service would be provided. What they don't tell is how much they get under the table on the envelope, but that's another story.
Yep.
Make no mistake, people, they lie. People, they are liars. Like you said, we have unfair competition in every profession. Make no mistake, you know, some guys, they are very popular on Facebook groups and they are unfair competition. Some people, they don't care. Some other people, they care. We stand for the truth. We work with the niche. I sometimes I think if people, they don't trust me, they don't deserve me. This is the way I think. I mean, that's the way I think. Sorry, Sergio. Just finish.
No, I'm good. I was just catching up on some comments over here.
Yes. Go ahead. There's some questions here for you, I think.
I was seeing Thomas over here regarding the tour that we did last week.
Also, Kelly.
No, that's not true,
Kelly.
Thomas. You know, I told you right away where it was, but I'm happy for the humor. Yeah.
He's just teasing you.
Yeah.
He's just teasing
So we
you.
have over here also, Kelly, can the council make a common pickup and drop off large area for guides and customers to meet? That's something that the Porto is trying to do within the restricted area. But even within the restricted area, you cannot go at those times, because what I feel is like the mayor is trying to push tourism in Porto for being a tourism in Porto exclusively. So they don't want guides to pick people up from Porto and lead them elsewhere. That is the general consensus amongst the guides right now. So if we are leading tours, guiding tours outside of the city, I don't think that they're going to open any exceptions, and we just have to make do with what we have, which is trying to find some parking spaces, a meeting point that is safe to park, where we're not going to have the police knocking on our window. And I've had this happening a couple of times in the past, so that's why I do strongly believe that they're gonna enforce this new regulation very adamantly. So we can, that's the best we can do. Yeah. So Thomas, yeah, I totally agree with you. You're quite healthy and like to walk, so it was not an issue, no Uber for us. That is the main thing that I tell people. Don't expect to take an Uber to do half a mile in the city, because
they will cancel.
Yeah, and I've had customers to whom this happened. They were saying the Uber was constantly canceling and shifting to a different one. And the pickup time was going from 5 minutes to 17 minutes to 2 minutes to 8 minutes, because they were always canceling. So Porto, the best way that you have to move around the city, even on a rainy day, just walk. It's a very walkable city. Take your time, pace yourself. I know it's a very big hill, particularly if you're staying in the Ribeira area, but just Porto, it's very much the way to do. As for Uber, Kelly, very good point over here. Ubers are one of the few authorized vehicles to whom these restrictions don't apply. So Ubers and taxis, they can still go within the restricted area. No restrictions whatsoever for Ubers. The thing with Ubers, always book on their online platform. And this is particularly true for pickups at the airport and whatnot, where you have people just coming to you and asking you if you want to take an Uber or whatnot. don't fall for that trap either. Sorry. The Uber drivers, they never approach the customers directly, and they just drive to the place where they're meeting you, and then you can check the license plate on the app, the photo of the driver, and if everything checks out, then that's when you're entering the Uber. Other than that, do not fall into someone saying that they can hail a Uber for you or something like that, because Uber drivers, they never approach customers. So it's a dead giveaway that something is off, and just get away from that situation as quickly as possible. So licensed, etc. Yeah, just only through the app. I usually am not very fond of the apps, but this is one of those situations. For your safety, I would say just refer to the app. And so, yeah, Thomas was saying that they were staying at the Cathedral Hotel, the Tapestry. Yep, excellent recommendation.
That
Yeah, I love the hotel.
Curiously, it's already on the danger zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is pretty much what I had to share, and I feel like I overextended a little bit the live session. But well, I feel like this was something that everyone needed to hear.
It's a hot topic,
and I just needed to put it out here. So this will be followed up with a post on Portugal Unplugged, and probably in other travel groups as well. And well, the more we can spread the word and make people aware of what is the situation in Porto, I feel like we can play it a little bit more safely for all parties involved, both for the tour operators as well as for the people visiting us and wanting to take a tour with us. And just that these are some of the things that they should be aware of, because even though it presents a bit of a challenge right now to do the pickups and drop-offs and whatnot, it also presents an opportunity to discern to the customer, and if they are aware of the regulations, it presents an opportunity to the customer to discern which ones are the trustworthy companies, hotels, tour guides, etc., and which ones you should avoid, because you can do a triage by asking certain questions. Like, for example, we're staying at this hotel. Are you able to provide pickup and drop off at our hotel? Red flag if your hotel is in the restricted area, and they immediately say yes. So not because you will get in trouble personally, but rather because for me, it calls into question the character of the person who said that to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I have just something to add to that, and of course, well, I've been in Porto recently after this mess was created, and I call it a mess because it's what it is, because no one really knows. And when you call some hotels and inquire them about this, I got the reply of someone from a high-end hotel that a lot of people say, oh, I don't know what the mayor says. I don't know what the city hall says. What I know is that everybody comes over here. So why are you causing these issues? And I told him, well, but sorry, okay. And I even told him I paid to have the permit to enter certain restricted zones, but it's not the case of these touristy vehicles restricted zones. It's the restricted access streets that most of them we cannot enter anymore because they are inside what I call the danger zone. But it happened more than once, and I called a few times to the hotel, and I got totally different answers from different people. But one of them was just like, well, why are you being, and sorry to say this, a pain in the ass by annoying me with this kind of thing? Because that is a known problem, because everybody comes here, okay? Well, if everybody goes, they are not following the rules. So sorry, but it's not my kind of thing to do. It's not how I work. So in fact, I totally agree with you, Sergio, about this. That really shows well the character of people that are willing to provide that kind of thing, breaking the rules, or just saying, oh, the guy is nuts. I don't care about the rules. Now, just two things. And being based in Lisbon, we don't know what's going to happen in the near future. So is the mayor of Porto kind of groundbreaking and opening the Pandora box about this, and this will spread? We don't know.
Let's see.
What I can say is this, and unfortunately I need to put the things this way. Porto, it's a lovely city, But sometimes, you need to choose a little bit as well. The convenience versus the impact that it's causing. Is this an attempt to reduce the number of people that stay in central Porto that he seems to be blaming for what's going on? Well, there's several good hotels outside the danger zone in some more comfortable areas that you still can get access to city center. Is it possible to stay across the river, whatever, on in a town nearby that you go by public transportation to Porto? Well, that can be an option as well. Okay, so planning your trip to Portugal and inquiring about places to stay. Well, if you take the consideration that the choice of accommodation can impact the quality of a service that the guides can provide, ask probably which can be the best recommendation that won't cause these kind of issues. Okay, I'm going to pick up and drop off a few guests in Porto in the next weeks. Some of them are outside that area. It was their choice, and I inquired my guests, and I told them, well, thank you for choosing a place that won't cause any issues for you or for me, because we are not breaking any kind of rules in here. For the others, well, we are finding here a plan B, an alternative, and I already discussed that with them. But it's what it is, and I'm sorry if we've been extending this session today, but this is a very hot topic that affects you directly, Sergio, affects me quite a lot as well, and it affects a lot of other people. But in the end, it will affect also the guest's experience. Okay, if everybody is conscious and concerned about having a quality time in here. So
I'm
I'm
just
looking
going to say
forward.
one thing.
Yeah, please.
You spoke about staying at different locations outside of the danger area. I'm just going to say it out loud. One of the hotels that I've been recommending as of late, because I heard great things about it in the last year, and it's a very recent hotel in Porto. It's outside of the restricted area, and now because of the convenience, because it's outside of the danger zone as well, uh, Porto Renaissance Lapa Hotel.
Yes, been there several times.
Beautiful
Yeah.
hotel, 5-star hotel, very well located. It's less than 5 minutes away from the danger zone. And to get to the downtown area of Porto, it's mostly a walk downhill. So that one facilitates, and because it's just a little bit, it's an extra 5 minutes of walk. You won't believe the amazing rates that they are able to offer. They're a brand new hotel. They just opened up last year, and it's a very good alternative. One of the travel advisors that we work with, and she reached out to me recently. She already had this in mind, and it already clicked. She asked me if I was able to do a transfer from the Douro Valley to Porto for a day trip to Porto, and returning the customers at the end of the day back to the Douro Valley.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we're talking about Douro Valley. We can be talking about, for example, places like Aveiro. It's 1 hour train ride from Porto. We can talk about also a little bit further to the north, Matosinhos, very beautiful beach destination as well, just south of the Douro River. Gaia is not going to give you these issues, so you just need to cross the river, and you're basically in another town. So the restrictions of Porto, they don't apply over there. If you want to venture a little bit further out, and this is what this is going to be the message that I'm going to try to convey right now. If the mayor of Porto is telling you that you are no longer welcome in the city,
that's
then
what it seems.
Vote with your wallet, and don't give him the tourist tax. Just stay elsewhere. There are so many places, so much interesting things to see, and in surrounding areas all around Porto. Like immediately comes to mind, people usually take day trips to Braga, to Guimarães. Why not stay there instead and take a day trip to Porto?
I'm gonna throw a name that has a beautiful 5-star hotel opened recently, and it has metro service to Porto, Vila do Conde.
Yeah, Vila do Conde. If Praia da Azurara, very beautiful. Gabriel knows that one really
very
well
nice.
as well.
Small town, very quaint, very small.
If you go a little bit further north, you have Povo de Varzim as well. If you go even further north, you have Esposiende. If you go even further north, you have Viana do Castelo. So plenty of good alternatives, and these are all within a 30 to 45 minute either metro ride, or if you want to have a car, then why not?
Yeah.
In this case, I usually don't recommend having a car for people who are staying in Porto, but in this case, if you are not staying in Porto, get a car, drive to the city, park your car. If it's going to be for a day trip,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you retrieve your car and you drive back to the place where you're staying.
And Mr.
And
Mayor, well, might feel it well someday, because unfortunately, I agree with you. It seems like he's pretty much sending the message you're no longer welcome here.
yep. So this is probably the longest unplugged live session that we ever done.
Well, and it has
But
been great.
yeah, it's a very hot topic that I feel like we should address, and hopefully,
Yes.
well, don't forget
Yeah.
that this video is going to be posted also on our YouTube channel,
YouTube,
and
then we're gonna share throughout
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah, and you can
messages.
also share with people looking into traveling to Portugal, to Porto specifically, if they want to know what's happening in the city. Well, you have our 2 cents right here. So there's no better way than hearing it from the mouth of the guys who are living and working over here in the country
Yeah,
and in the
exactly.
city.
Well,
So that's pretty much it.
I just want to thank you for a great Unplugged Live. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We had some great comments in here. And, well, I'm going to post this on YouTube as soon as possible. And, well, we'll be back next week. Well, I would love not to have too many hot topics to discuss. But unfortunately, it seems that, well, every week there's something new going on.
We're gonna have.
But,
We're gonna
well,
have.
we'll be back here, so feel free to, well, ask your questions, post your comments, and, well, if you need some specific help, reach directly to us, reach out by message directly to us. We are here trying to help. So thank you very much for watching, and, well, I'll see you back next week. Good evening.
Good evening.
Bye bye, everyone. Have a good week ahead, and see you next Monday. Bye bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.